Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Just as the last night of our programming for this weekend, inshallah, I want to once again thank Sheikh Nuruddin for being here with us. Alhamdulillah, I think we always learn something new from his interesting perspectives and his lectures. And inshallah, we'll have him again in the future. Just a couple of announcements before we start. I do ask everyone to please refrain from getting up and going out of the hall during the lecture as not to disturb the people around you. And please do make sure on the brother side, if you do get up, we have the camera and live stream, so please do not step in front of the camera. And then also any drinks or food that you have brought in yourself, I should please pick it up after the program before you leave, so you not leave this hall messy, inshallah. And with that, please help me invite up our speaker with a loud salawat.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلقه سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد والصلاة والسلام على أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين واللعنة الله على أعدائهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. وأما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المتين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن آياته خلق لكم صلوات ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا لتسكنوا إليها وجعل بينكم مودة ورحمة إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجل. Brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I express my condolences to each and every one of you, to mu'mineen and mu'minat worldwide, to our leadership, Maqam Mu'azzam Rahbari, Maraji Taqleed, Hazrat Sahib al-Asri wal-Zaman, Ajjalallah Ta'ala Farajah. This evening that we commemorate the shahadat of Hazrat Fatima Zahra bint Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Salawat. Just if everyone could move forward just a little bit, so in case anyone comes in afterwards, there's plenty of room for them also, inshallah. So before we begin for this evening, I'd like to make a quick announcement concerning adab and akhlaq that should always be maintained and remembered and reminded of when we come to the center. You know, one of the main reasons, I don't know about you guys, but okay, I'm going to talk for myself, right? One of the main reasons I come to the masjid is to socialize. My deen is safe. If I don't come to the center to pray or to do layali al-qadr, my deen is safe. I can do that stuff at home. When I come to the masjid, I come to drink the tea and hang out with the Muslim brothers, and that's what I come. I come for the food. I come for the socialization, because in my everyday life, I do my salat, I read my Quran. Masjid for me is not a manasik khane. It's not a place that I come and do rituals. It's where I come to hang out with other Muslims, because I don't get that in the rest of my life, right? I do my salat in the rest of my life, and at work, and at home, and read the Quran when I can, alhamdulillah, at work or at home. So this isn't the place I come from manasik, for rituals. I'm perfectly happy to do my rituals at home. And even in Layali al-Qadr, we had a little spot like in our masjid back home, back where the AC unit is, where nobody knew, like it's a secret compartment. That's where I did my ibadat, because I don't want to do ibadat in front of everybody else on Laylatul Qadr. Or I do it at home. When we come to the masjid, a lot of the reason a lot of us come to the masjid is for socialization. Hang out with other Muslims. to be around other Muslims, to spend time with other Muslims, to enjoy the friendship, companionship, brotherhood, sisterhood that we get from each other that we don't get outside of this place. So when we come here, we should always remind ourselves of how we should interact with each other. So here's the basic rule. There's not many of us. A lot of us, we think like, SABA's a big center and there's other big centers and there's so many Muslims and so many Shias. Look, man, you're a minority of a minority. And if you're a convert, you're a minority of a minority of a minority. There's not many of us. And the people who you see around you and the people who you spend time with in this center are the same people you're going to know and have connections with for the rest of your life. And we don't often think about that, right? But we are going to know each other for the rest of our lives. And there's no escaping that. We've got a connection and it goes beyond religion. And so we should always maintain the correct behavior. So what do we do if we come here and someone thoroughly upsets us, right? You know me, I'm blue collar and Irish. We love to fight. And you get me mad, we got the old Irish kiss for you. And I mean, when I was a teenager, I'd wake up like tasting metal in my mouth, like I need to fight. We love to fight. And somebody offends you or somebody upsets you, a lot of times roughnecks, our first reaction is lehesh b'konim, I'm going to crush him. But this destroys relationships. This little disagreements can last, masala, now we know each other for the next 30, 40 years. We're going to still remember, Baba, when I was 17, me and you got into it at the masjid and we're enemies of each other now. No, we should have mercy with each other. It's one of the things we're going to mention this evening. Be patient with each other. And if someone offends you, as somebody who can really be a jerk, I'm going to teach you one of the jerkiest things you can ever do to somebody. You want to get them back? They got you mad? Be nice to them. Ooh, they hate that. They don't like you, and they don't want to be around you, and they upset you. So that's the guy you say, Salam alaikum, what's happening? And in the sofre, he's who you sit next to. You be nice to them? Oh, So if they're really an enemy, and if they're really a bad person, that's the best way to upset them, the best way to get back at them. Not punch them in the face, not grab them outside, not cash me outside. That's not how you handle it. If you really want to get back at them, be nice. So if they're really like that type of evil person, which inshallah none of us are, right? Then that'll burn them. But if they're not, it wins them over. And the disagreement can be overcome, can be conquered, and we can move on from there. But the key isn't to react aggressively. The key is to react nicely, with mercy, with manners, with kindness. Because it's either going to be the jerkiest thing you ever do to them and it's going to completely upset them, or it's going to be the way to overcome that difficulty and move forward. So take it from me, one of the world's biggest jerks. It works, inshallah. Salawat. So we started a discussion a couple days ago, and it's very important, some of the things we discussed. And tonight we'll do a little jambandi to kind of wrap it up, tie everything together so we can move on and inshallah learn something from this. And we started talking about family. And the most important message that we're trying to get across here in these lectures is the atmosphere that we should be creating at home. Because, greater than what goes on in the Sunday school madrasa, more important than what's happening in school or in college, is the atmosphere that we create in our homes for our family. The atmosphere that we create between husband and wife. between parents and children, in the house in general. Atmosphere has to be correct. And it's vitally important that we build the correct atmosphere at home. And I'll just give you a quick example of this. One of the saddest things I've ever seen is to see children that have problems at home. And I can recognize it because I had Irish parents. We'll go into a little bit of that tonight. We're going to have some fun tonight, inshallah, right? But I can recognize a lot of this stuff. One time I saw a little boy who was doing something, nothing bad, right? And I got up to go, I can't remember what it was now, but I got up to go do something in his direction. And as he saw a man get up and move in his direction, he cowered. You know what that shows me? He's used to getting hit at home. That when a man moves in his direction, he's about to get hit. And so his natural, I wasn't coming to hit him. I wasn't mad at him. Wasn't anything. But just a man moved in his direction. He was like, whoa. The atmosphere we create at home has an effect on our wives, on our husbands, on our children. And the message we want to get through in these days is be careful of the atmosphere that we're creating at home between man and woman, between husband and wife, between parents and children, between the children themselves. Be careful of that, because this atmosphere has an effect on the children. So many children I've come across that come from, you don't know the house has got trouble in it because everybody puts on their best mask, their best behavior when they come out. But I run across young people that zadan, they're like shell-shocked. I've seen kids jump when a door slams, and I'm not talking about the regular kid jumps because he got startled. I'm talking about a kid that's shell-shocked from arguing in the house, from yelling and screaming and slamming of doors. The atmosphere we create at home has a very deep effect on the household and those who are in the household. So this is the gist of the message. So we started talking about love. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse that we read, let's translate it because tonight that's really what we're going to get into. I'm sorry. Salawat. Oh, you need it low? You get a microphone my size. I'm 5'5". Salawat. This verse says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٌ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And one of his signs is that he created mates for you from amongst yourselves, that you may find rest in them. And he put between you love and compassion. Most surely there are signs for this in people who reflect. One of the things mentioned in here is love. And we began by talking about love. And it's something that I'm sure each of us have experienced, that we can be surrounded by loved ones, our husbands, our wives, our children, people who deeply care for us, and still we feel unloved. We can be surrounded by people and still we feel lonely, right? I think this is a natural human condition. This is what calls us and pulls us towards seeking that intense and deep love that can only be had from Allah. And what happens is, because we have this skewed and faulty misconception of what love is, because we've watched the Titanic movie entirely too many times, right? We have this concept of romantic love that is idealized and exaggerated. And so a lot of times we see our own feelings of loneliness and our own feelings of being unloved, and we deflect that onto our partner. You don't love me anymore. When we first got together, we were on fire. And now things have died down. You don't care about me anymore. You don't pay attention to me anymore. And because we want to be loved intensely, and you cannot get this love from another human being. Look, it's impossible. It only comes from Allah. So then we say, you don't love me enough. Love me, love me, love me, love me, love me. And this ends up to be the cry, sometimes of wives, sometimes of husbands. And sometimes we as men, right, we say like, what's wrong with me? When did I become such a pushover, such a sponge cake? Love me, love me, love. It's a natural need of human beings. To be ashiq, to be a lover, and to be ma'shuq, to be loved. It's what we want, and there's nothing wrong with that. But because of these natural feelings inside of us that pull us towards love and attention of the Creator, the perfect source of love, like this verse says, وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ, from amongst His signs, this love that exists between us as family members, as husband and wife, parents and children, it's a sign along the path towards the source of love, who is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Don't get caught up and fall in love with the highway sign. Keep moving towards the destination. So this is something that we sometimes have to remind ourselves of. These feelings of loneliness, of being unloved, it's because Allah has placed that in us, this deep capacity for love. Human beings have an incredible capacity to love. A capacity that cannot be filled by another weak being. Not to the level that we need it. What we need is that divine love. So, we wanted to get this across. Send us salawat. Let me look at these notes so I don't just go off road. So, this is something very important for us to call to mind. That we need love. We have to have love. And don't confuse our need for that deep and intense love that can only come from the Creator with these feelings that, masalan, our wife doesn't love us enough, or our husband doesn't love us enough, or isn't paying enough attention, or maybe there's something wrong with our marriage. Why aren't we having that relationship like we see in the love movies? Why isn't our relationship hot and steamy like what we see on HBO? And a lot of times what we want to do is we want to get there, so we want to heat it up, so we exaggerate the love. So let's understand something. And we mentioned it already, but it's time to wrap it up this evening, right? We have to call to mind and realize that every pleasure in this life has its limitations. There is no pleasure in this life that is limitless. Every pleasure has its limitation. Ice cream is absolutely delicious and we love it, but eat too much ice cream and you reach a limit where you're just like, no, please, no. No more ice cream. But ice cream's coming out my ears. I'm tired of ice cream now. Forget it. Every pleasure has its limit. Every pleasure has it. Physical intimacy, it has its limit. You can reach a place where you say, please, no. Stop it. Every pleasure has its limitation in this life. There is no pleasure that is limitless in this life except hubbullah. And Quran says that. And as for those who believe, they are the most intense in love for Allah. Shaddu hubban lillah. This is the only pleasure in this world that is limitless and infinite. Any other pleasure is limited, has its had, is mahdud, is confined to its own capacity and its own limits. And when we exaggerate and blow up, like tavarum konin, we make the love swollen and exaggerated, right? we're setting ourselves up for disappointment. Because that ideal can't be lived up to by anyone. And a lot of our causes of marital disputes or divorces, when they come to me and they talk to me about relationship problems, very rarely it's like something major. I'll be honest with you. Very rarely it's something like this marriage should be over. I think in I don't know, 20 years of doing this off and on, quote unquote, full time, whatever you want to call it, right? In this 20 years, I've maybe come across 2 cases that it was like, okay, that's it. And I don't read divorce. There's been once that I've read a divorce. And that was just because, look, man, when you're biting and fighting with each other, it's enough now. That's enough, man. You show up in my office with bruises all over your body and you're bloody. That's it. It's done. No more. Khalas. Most of the time, it's nothing major. Most of the time is, he doesn't love me anymore. No, Khanum. He still loves you. But the love you need, the love that's going to fill you up, the love that's going to truly satisfy you, you can't get from this man. Brother, she loves you still. She's still interested. She thinks you're handsome. Don't think because you've put on a few pounds and lost your hair, so now you got to start your wudu from back here, right? Wudu's from the hairline, huh? I ain't make your wudu from back here. She still loves you. And a lot of times these little things break up marriages. So this is something that's very important for us to pay attention to. Don't exaggerate the love. Be realistic. If you fill or attempt to fill your heart with the love of another, then where's the room for love of Allah? There's a hadith, and I'll paraphrase it, but this is the meaning of the hadith, just to make it clear, just because I can't remember the Arabic. The meaning is that one of the Masumin said, any love that's established on love of other than Allah, then you cannot have i'timad in it. You cannot have trust in it. You cannot lean on it. Any love that is not based on, founded on love of Allah, then that love is weak. Why? Because Allah is Qadir. He's the one who has power. He's the one who's Akbar, who's the greatest. His love is not weak. His love for us is not faulty. His love for us is not lacking. And I think we've mentioned this before. A lot of us think that Allah is angry with us, that He's out to get us, that He wants to punish us, that the tests and tribulations and trials that we face in life, it's because Allah is angry at us. So I know a lot of the people don't like it when I say this. Let's get you thoroughly upset. If we're any kind of lucky, we'll be thrown out of the place and we'll be free from having to travel the country and speak. Really, sometimes I tell people, like, I'm gonna do something on YouTube that y'all will just stop calling me and stay home. Let's make it exceptionally clear. If we establish a love on other than loving Allah, this love cannot be relied upon. Allah loves you. He's not out to get you. And I hate to blow your mind, but He doesn't get angry. He doesn't. Yeah, we got some sifat that says, Allah is the avenger. Allah is the punisher. Allah. No, listen, let's make this very straight. If you study aqaid, ideology, you study philosophy, you'll learn that Allah's state doesn't change. He's not like me and you. That today you did something good, so He get happy. And tomorrow you do something bad, so now He's angry. And the next day you do something bad again, and so now He's depressed. Allah's state doesn't change. He's got a constant, consistent state of loving you. He loves you. He's not angry with you. Dar kamin nist. He's not in ambush waiting for you to get you. You slip, you slide. I'm going to get you now. That's not the Allah we worship. His love is for us is limitless. And we can only be filled up with love through that means. And don't destroy our relationships by letting these natural feelings inside of us that Allah placed there to pull us towards Him. Allah put those feelings there. He created us that way that this earthly love can't fill us up. It can't do it, man. We need something greater. We have a great capacity for love. And only that divine love can satisfy that need. And don't project onto your spouse some weakness, some shortcoming, some fault because of our own feelings of kambudi and deficiency, which is just there to draw us towards Allah. Khair, let's move on. Salawat. There's a few more things that I should say about this, so let's finish it up here, right? One of the rules, so we can make it very clear, one of the rules in life, in this place runs on rules, man. There's a system at work here. It's not haphazard, it's not coincidence, it's not accident. Things are running on a system here. You throw this in the air, it's gonna come down. I mean, there's rules here. This place runs on a system. And one of the rules here is that anything that you love excessively, and pour that love into in an exaggerated fashion, you will have to sacrifice it. You will have to lose it, give it up. And that's how marriages end when we talk about this whole issue of feelings of being unloved and feeling of being lonely. Anything that you love to an exaggerated state, to an unjust state, anything that you love that's not built on love of Allah, you can't lean on it, you will have to lose it. You'll have to give it up. So let's go back to the Titanic example. You want that Titanic love? Then you gotta die. You got that? Isn't that what happened? Like they couldn't share the little raft at the end of the movie? There was enough room on there for both of them. You love something too much, you're gonna have to give it up. If he didn't die, they would have argued. They'd have had some fight, some disappointment, some tribulation, some bala and calamity would fall on there. Baba, you love something to that extent, you're going to have to sacrifice and give it up. So you want that type of idealized romantic love? You're going to have to die for it. It's the rules here. So keep that love within its limitation. Love. And there's one thing, like when we talk about this, people say, so Sheikh, what are you saying? Don't fall in love? No, fall in love. Love and be loved. But realize that this human and earthly love is limited. It has its had. It has its limitation, just like any other earthly pleasure has its limitation. Khair. Clear? Clear. Let's move on. Salawat. So we had promised that before we left, that we would go into more of this verse. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَمِنْ آيَاتِهِ أَنْ خَلَقَ لَكُم مِّنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُم مَّوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And one of his signs is that he created mates for you from yourselves, that you may find rest in them. And he put between you love and compassion. Most surely there are signs in this for people who reflect. My teacher, in doing the tafsir of this verse, starts counting the Faza'il, the benefits of this creation of Allah, of mates for us, from where Allah says, as litaskunu ilayha, where Allah says He's created for you mates from amongst yourselves so that you might find peace, aramish, tranquility in them. He starts counting from there. I'm going to go a little bit against him and go before that. Amongst the benefits, the signs of Allah, is that He created for you mates, azwajan. Zawj means a pair. Huh? Like a pair of hands. Can one hand clap? Nah. You need a pair of hands, and there's a reason for that. If you work with your hands, you'll figure it out. When I'm underneath a car and I got to reach up into a tight place, and last week I worked on a Nissan. Lanatullah ala the Nissan engineers. Late 90s Nissans. You got to reach up into this spot underneath the car, behind the intake and between the block. And the thing you got to reach to, if you try to get up there with the right hand, you can't get it, but you can still see it. But if you reach up there with your left hand, you can not see it, but you can reach it. And that's why Allah gave you two hands. Because what this one can't do, this one can. And pairs are like that. If I went out there and stole every right shoe, all you guys would be in trouble. Because pairs need each other. They complement each other. So one thing we see about Allah creating mates for us from amongst ourselves is that one of the first benefits that Allah is mentioning in this verse is that we complement each other in so many different ways. Males complement females, females complement the qualities of males. We are the perfect team for each other. I mean, just so that we don't have to go into a long description and long explanation, just very quickly. You know what's beautiful? Men can see the big picture, right? But they're terrible at details. They really are. They're awful at details. And this is a general rule. You have many men that are very good at recognizing details, right? Many women that can see the large picture. But we complement each other in this way, in that women are very good with details. That's why you're always like with your wife, where's my keys at? Hey, where did I leave my wallet? You just put it down and you can't remember where it is. You know why? Because your mind is somewhere else. You thinking on something grander than where I just put down my keys. Your wife, she knows where everything is in that house. Why? Because she pays attention to details. And so in this way we complement each other. And if you spend more time with your wife, you'll recognize that. You run into it. Now, I'm not telling you to only rely on each other for your input and your advice. But when you share ideas with each other and talk about things with each other, you get a completely different perspective from your wife. And sometimes you can see things that you never expected, or understand things that you never thought about, simply because of the woman's touch. And it's the same for the ladies. So we complement each other. So one of the first benefits that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is mentioning here for us is this pairing off of the human being, that we complement each other, that we have a need for each other, that we should rely on each other as a pair. Because one pair, one half of that pair needs the other. They complement each other. Then my teacher goes into explaining the rest of this verse. وَخَلَقَ مِنْ أَنفُسِكُمْ أَزْوَاجًا لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا, that you might find tranquility in them. Aramish, peace. Brothers, sisters, the key to a happy family, a successful family, is that we create a tranquil home, a peaceful home, a home that is filled with tranquility and aramish. It's absolutely necessary, vital. Tranquility at home sets the pace for everything else that's going on in the house. And so there's some recommendations that we look at in Dars al-Akhlaq that gives some advice to us on how to establish this tranquility. So, as an example, husbands, when you come home from work, let it be known that you're home in a nice way. Right? You come in, maybe you you give a little cough. When you kick off your shoes, maybe you'll be a little loud about it. When you come in, you say, Salaam alaikum. You let everybody know that you're home. And there's a reason for this. So let's go first to the first reason. One of the first things that can destroy tranquility in the house is aib-jui. Looking into the faults of others. And a lot of times we as fathers, because we know these kids are up to no darn good, right? So when we come home, we sneak into the house. Like, let me see what these guys are doing. And you slip into the house and nobody knows you're home. And before you know it, you're raising Cain. What are you guys doing in here? What's going on? What you guys been doing all day? Have you done your chores? Is your homework finished? Whatever, right? The children should not live in fear of their father. And I know many of the men in here, I know me, I had this experience. When my dad came home, I got the heck out of the house. Up, daddy's home from work, I'm gone. Because you know you're about to get in trouble. You know you're about to get yelled at for something. Man, I got yelled at for falling off my bike. I got beat once I fell off the bike. I got beat for falling off the bike. Yeah, I just fell off the bike. I'm cut up, I'm bruised up here. Who told you to go out there and build a ramp in the middle of the yard? What was on your mind? Come here. The worst thing that we can do as fathers is come into the house and destroy that tranquility and enter the house like a wolf, sneakily, so that the children are living in fear of us. Because we're trying to see, like, what are they up to? What mischief are they making? What are they doing? Aib-jui, looking into the faults of others, even our own children. My teacher in Dars al-Akhlaq used to say, look, if a guest comes over to your house and makes a mistake, I don't know, some akhlaqi, some adabi type of mistake, right? What are you going to do about it? You put up with it, don't you? Huh? Some non-Muslim comes over to your house and wears his shoes inside the house. A lot of times we don't even say anything, do we? Because he's a guest. Right? So we put up with the little mistakes that they make because they're an outsider. They're a visitor. And so we be more merciful with them. Whereas if the members of our family made that same mistake, we'd smack them upside the head, or yell at them, or send them to their room, or do something like this. Baba, you're going to have that level of mercy with a guest, with a visitor, but with your loved one, with the one who's closest to you, in relationship, in love, you're going to be tough on them. This is one of the greatest signs of hypocrisy, of nifaq. That outside the house, at the masjid, you're Mr. Nice Guy, and when you go home, you're a tyrant. You know, one of the riwayat says that the shuhada, the martyrs, that they receive no punishment in the grave. They don't even experience the pressure of the grave, right? The squeezing of the grave. That the shuhada do not even get that level of, like, everybody gets this. Look, check it out. Everybody gets squeezed in the grave. Even like the best of the best of the best. I mean, not anbiya and awliya, masalan, and not shuhada either as a general rule, right? But everybody, no matter how good you were, it's a purification. Read Siyahat al-Gharb. Right? Journey to an Unseen World, it's called in English. The English translation sucks. Read it in Persian. Huh? No, I'm sorry. It's much better in Persian. That's the language it was written in. Read it in that one if you can. Read the English translation, it's okay, all right. But in there, when the pressure of the grave is described, in the barzakh, when we experience this, it's a purification. Everybody goes through this except shuhada. Check this out now. There was a companion of Hazrat Rasulullah named Sa'ad. He had achieved martyrdom, and Prophet himself buried him. Prophet himself shrouded him. Prophet himself put him in the grave. And after Prophet had put him in the grave and he had been buried, then Prophet said, Ya Allah, Allahu Akbar, la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyul azim. And the companion said, Ya Rasulullah, what's the matter? He said, this person is receiving the squeezing of the grave. They said, Ya Rasulullah, we thought you said that the shuhada don't receive this punishment. He said, yes, they don't. But anyone who does bi akhlaqi, who has bad akhlaq, who has bad etiquette at home with their wife and their children, even shuhada will receive this squeezing in the grave. He's being punished in the grave, even though he's a shaheed, a martyr, because of his etiquette with his family. And this is one of the things we have to beware of as men, right? It's something that can guarantee our punishment in the grave is our akhlaq and adab with our families. We're going to go out there and deal with the people we work with like we're angels. And we're going to deal with the people we run into on the street like angels. But when we come home, we're like some kind of darande, some kind of carnivorous animal, ready to pounce on people. This is wrong. And anyone who does that, then they should deserve the punishment in the grave. So one of the keys to creating a good family is maintaining that tranquility in the home. It's absolutely necessary that the home remain tranquil, peaceful, for our own state of mind and our own happiness and our own health, but definitely for our children also. That the home remain peaceful. This is why it's recommended that father and mother never disagree in front of the children. Ever don't fight in front of them. Don't argue in front of them. You got a disagreement, you feel like you got to wrestle, you feel like you got to get into a kickboxing match, wait till they go to bed, go in the backyard and handle your business. Don't do it in front of the kids. Never argue in front of the children. Ever. Ladies, don't ever go against your husband in front of the children. This teaches children to be wilayat napazir, that they come to disrespect authority. Because if one of the number one authority figures in our life is disrespecting and disobeying in front of our eyes, alanan, the other authority figure in our life, it teaches us not to respect authority. The worst thing we can do is argue in front of our children. You got a disagreement? Hold it down, keep it under control, put the kids to bed, send them out to play, and talk about it. Handle it then. But never disagree in front of the children. Never argue in front of the children. Why? This helps to maintain the peace and the tranquility in the home. And this is absolutely necessary for our own happiness and for the welfare of our own children. Salawat. This tranquility itself is one of the greatest, if not the greatest benefit of marriage. You know, a lot of times we look at marriage, especially as young people, right? When we look forward to getting married or going to get married, then we look at marriage maybe from a much more physical standpoint. But this physicality, it only lasts for X amount of time. In time to come, natural, that's going to decrease. But what will always remain there for us is that tranquility that we get simply from being married, from having a partner from having someone that we have as a pair, a companion. And this is something that way outlasts these other benefits that a lot of times we think are like the main benefits of marriage, like zina shui and these things, right? This tranquility can be maintained by keeping that in mind. One of the biggest gifts that we have is each other. And that tranquility, that peace that comes from having another. And so, for all the single men in here, let's ask the married men a question. Married men, aren't you a heck of a lot happier now that you're married than when you were single? Oh, no, you guys aren't answering? What, I got an open office here now? Most of the times I get a yes, vale. Well, ask the sisters then. Married sisters, aren't you a lot happier now, a lot more tranquil now that you're married than when you were single? Yes. See, that's your wives answering. So what's your problem? Huh? Salawat. So this is one of the big benefits, that we get married, and just simply having someone else bestows upon us a certain level of tranquility, and we have to maintain that tranquility in the home. So men have their part to play. Don't be a tyrant in the home. Our children should not live in fear of us, like many of us grew up in fear of our fathers. That was me, man. Like I said, I'd get out of the house when daddy came home. What? He's home? You don't want to stick around. We should not have that effect on our fathers. Ladies, what's your part to play? A lot of times ladies also can do with the same advice. Maintain the tranquility in the home. Look, if our children see us lose control, lose our temper, start to yell and scream and throw stuff around and rap people upside the head, then they understand that we're out of control. Does anybody like to deal with somebody that's out of control? Nobody wants to deal with that person. That person inspires fear and distrust in us. You don't know what they might do. They might fly off the handle and hit you in your head with a pot spoon. That's the Caribbean mama. You'll know it. So we got to realize this, right? Ladies also, you have your role to play. One of the roles that's very important for the ladies to play, right? In addition to doing the things that we just mentioned about the men, that they should maintain the tranquility, not do aib jui, not raise Cain in the house when something goes wrong and raise their voice and throw the tranquility of the house into disarray. But another thing that the ladies are very important, very big responsibility that they have, is to have that tranquility effect on their husbands. And this is difficult, right? Because some of these men, I know ladies, they're difficult to deal with. They're a handful. And let's say it again, because we've said it here in this center before. Our women, our wives, overlook much more of our faults than we overlook of theirs. Ladies put up with our physical deformations that happen over time, right? We put on a few pounds and they still love us. We lose our teeth and they still love us. Some of us, wife puts on a few pounds and we tell them, girl, ain't you going to the gym? Baba, she sacrificed her life. She put her life on the line to give you a family and children. It's not easy. It's life endangering to have children. You know, today we think it's like easy, but many women die in childbirth. And it's shahadat for them, martyrdom for them. And then you're going to be ungrateful and criticize her because she's put on a few pounds. That's that mama look. That's how they're supposed to look. And they're beautiful like that. You're going to not overlook her faults, but you want her to overlook yours. These ladies, I know they put up with a lot from us. But one thing that they're responsible for is to keep us under control. And ladies, you can't do that like a man. There's another problem in a lot of our relationships, right? What causes problems? Look, I don't know how it works out here. I saw my first all-gender bathroom today. I was confused. I didn't know where to go. There's 2 bathrooms, and both of them are all-gender. So I had to look at the guy next to me and say, which one is for me? I know we in California, you don't like to hear that, huh? No, it's the truth. Make it clear. I don't know where to go. A lot of times, it's up to our ladies to maintain our tranquility. And if you put 2 men in a house, there's going to be a fight. You cannot react to your husband like a man. Allah has given you feminine powers. You're not supposed to overpower your husband by raising your voice. You're not supposed to overpower your husband by being louder or more abrasive or more violent, which I've seen happen. Like all this talk about the oppressed Muslim woman, look man, ask the Muslim men. It ain't true. These women are not oppressed. They will whoop your butt. They will put it on you with a pot spoon. Okay, these ladies are not oppressed. I always make the joke, like one of the largest oppressed groups is Muslim married men. But we live under the tyranny of our wives sometimes. Why? Because they deal with us like men. There's a reason why when a husband comes home, it's recommended that his wife greet him at the door. And we'll go into this a little bit deeper when we talk about love. You know why? Because that completely disarms this guy. Completely. Like, he's coming home from a rough day at work and he's had to deal with every turd bird at work today. And he steps in the door and the last thing he needs to hear is, did you get the milk and the bread? Like in that tone of voice too, right? Like, you loser. You always forget it. Did you get the milk and the bread this time? That's not, and then, he comes in the house and he hears that. You know what a man feels like doing when he hears that? Turn his butt right back around and leave. I don't even want to hear this, man. I'm gone. Forget it. I'm going out for dinner. It turns him off. Or if he comes home and you immediately start complaining. It's another thing that's recommended. Ladies, don't complain as soon as this man comes home. Your son has been driving me crazy today. Only when he drives you crazy, he's my son? And then when he get honor roll in school, he's your son, huh? But today he drove you crazy, he's my son. Your son has been driving me crazy all day. The fridge is broken. The AC isn't working. I just got home from dealing with problems. I want to put down my sword and my shield and take off my armor and take a rest at home now. I want to relax. I want to enjoy some peace and tranquility. And when I come in and you're yelling and screaming and throwing stuff around, all I want to do is turn around and leave. Don't react to your man like a man. Use your powers with him. Greet him at the door. Say, Salaam alaikum. How was your day? I love you. Ooh, now, he's yours. You do what you want with him. He's in your hands. You don't get from a man by demanding. You get from a man by asking nicely, in that tone of voice that only you have, with that scent that only you have, with that touch that only you possess. That's how you get this guy under your control. You want to control him? Get him that way. Use your feminine powers to do that. One time I was listening, one of my asatid was telling us, he's doing marriage counseling, and he tells the wife, when your husband comes home, remember, call him Sultan. Rais, my master. And the lady says, man, me, call him Sultan? Abada. It's not gonna happen. And my teacher, he says, no, I thought I got alaki bigit. Even if you don't mean it, say it. We know you're the boss. No, really. Most of these guys, y'all know who run the house, don't you? Who's in charge? When you want to call and go out with Sheikh Nuruddin, what do you tell me? Let me ask my wife. I'm sorry, I gave up your secret? Let me ask my wife and I'll see you there at 3 o'clock. Khair, okay, inshallah. Tell me what the boss says. We know you run stuff, but you can't run stuff like a man. Maintain that tranquility in the home by being the other half that we need. Control this man and keep him tranquil by being a woman. Because by being a man, all you're going to get is male behavior from him. You raise your voice, he's going to raise his. You raise your hand, he's going to raise his hand. And when it comes to raising hands, you can't compete. That's not your strong suit. I got a wife that's a black belt in Taekwondo, and she don't fight me. Although I do keep a pistol. In case she decides to. And it's a 22. We just give her one in her leg, just to slow her down a little bit. But you can't compete in physicality. You're not going to overpower this man. You're not going to be able to yell louder or overpower him, hit him harder. That's not going to happen. Use your strong suit. Use your powers. And that's how you're going to overcome him and calm him down and control him. So maintaining that tranquility in the home is vitally important. Let's not spend any more time on that. Salawat, let's move forward. لِتَسْكُنُوا إِلَيْهَا وَجَعَلَ بَيْنَكُمْ مَوَدَّةً وَرَحْمَةً. And Allah has established between you love and mercy. And this is where we have to remind you just of the hadith we just mentioned, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one who created this love between you. Any love that is built on, based on, founded on, other than the love of Allah, it will fail. It is doomed. It is weak. And it will be insufficient. Because Allah is the only thing and the only one who is infinite and powerful and perfect. We, me and you, as much as we think we are perfect, we're not. You're not Fatima, and I'm not Ali. Right? Allah placed between us love. This love is from Allah. It's one of the signs of Allah. Allah is drawing us to the source of love, and which is Him. So, He placed between us this love, and it's very important. You may have heard me say this before. We have this from Imam Sadiq alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam Sadiq says, if you love someone, then tell them so. And we don't say that nearly as much as we should. Husbands, brothers, you love your wife? Tell them so. A lot of times we think that we don't have to say, I love you, because all of the things we do are out of love. The reason we work so hard and put in the long hours and put up with the stuff we put up with is because we love our families. But you know what? We still have to say, I love you. It's not enough to pay the mortgage. It's not enough to buy the stuff. It's not enough to provide for her physically. We have to say it sometimes. And not sometimes, but say it regularly. Say it often. And you know what's very important? Say it and show it in front of the kids. This is so important. Let your children know that you love each other. And a lot of times our kids grow up and wonder, man, the way they treat each other, do they love each other? Are they still in love? Why are these two still together? Show love to each other. Make sure the children understand that you love each other. Say, I love you to your wife. A lot of times men don't want to say that, wife will say, I love you. And what do men say? Me too. No, that's not good enough. You too what? Only two? No. You have to say, I love you. Women need to hear that. Men need to hear that. Ladies, say I love you at the right time. When you say I love you to a man, he drops all his defenses. We're walking around with our shield on, always. Because men, all of us are to some level insecure. So we're wearing armor all the time. When you come and say, I love you, that armor just disappears, man. We need to hear it. We need to hear our women say that they love us. And a lot of times because of these feelings of loneliness and lovelorn and lovelessness, right? It's because the other party doesn't tell us enough that they love us and remind us enough that they love us. Say, I love you. And there's nothing wrong with that. Men, there's no weakness in that. There's no dishonor in that. It's not against your ghayrat or your honor or your respect. Tell your wife, I love you. Ladies, say it regularly to your husbands. It disarms them and puts them to eat from the palm of your hands. Express love to each other. Show love to each other. This is absolutely necessary. But even this level of love, it can't fill us up. We're going to need that divine love. And that's why the very next thing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions after mawadda, that deep and intense love, is rahmah. Have mercy on each other. Show mercy to each other. Realize that we're not perfect. The other person has faults and shortcomings also, just like we do, and we have to be merciful with each other. We're merciful with the guests that come to our house. We're merciful with the strangers that we run into the street. Many times we're more merciful with outsiders than we are with the own members of our household. Be merciful with each other. Overlook each other's faults and shortcomings. Keep yourself focused on all the good things about that person. Love each other, but also be merciful to each other. It's absolutely necessary that we be merciful with each other. Not just love each other. Because if we say we love each other, right, that other person is going to have shortcomings and faults. That other person is going to make mistakes. And so we have to be merciful with them. If we're going to maintain this tranquility in the home, we have to be merciful with them. Mercy is one of the chief attributes that we have to build and grow in our homes. And this again now is where Allah ends this verse. Inna fi dhalika la'ayatin liqawmin yatafakkarun. In these things are signs for a people who think. Sign is not the maqsad. Sign is not the aim and the goal. The aim and the goal is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The aim and the goal is not the sign. These are from amongst the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He reminds us of it at the end. You know, one of the most perfect examples of love and mercy that we see is amongst Ahl Bayt alayhim salam. Ahl Bayt alayhim salam had so much love and mercy for each other, so much understanding, so much tranquility in that home. You look at Hazrat Zahra alayhi salam and Amirul Mu'mineen Ali alayhim salam. We see, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa we can look at this household and see the love and the mercy that exists just in the way they used to help each other. You know, Amirul Mu'mineen, even though we have this famous hadith where Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Zahra, they go to Rasulullah and they say, divide the work for us, right? And so Prophet says, Zahra, you take care of all the work inside the house. Ali, you take care of all the work outside the house. Still, they used to have mercy on each other and help each other. Amir al-Mu'mineen would assist his wife in the home. he would do some chores. And a lot of us Muslim men, we're kind of spoiled, right? We've been spoiled by our mommies and our wives, and they can continue that spoiling also. A lot of our men don't do anything in the house. But one of the ways in which we show our wives love and mercy is by helping out in the home. A lot of us think it's like beneath me. Me? Wash dishes? Me? Help clean the house? Me? Change the bed? Nah. This is showing mercy to each other. And we see that in Ahl Bayt alayhim as-salam. The love and mercy is there. Amir al-Mu'mineen used to assist Zahra alayhi salam in her chores in the house. This is showing mercy to each other. It's something absolutely necessary. It's one of the signs of Allah on us. You know, one of the things that we see about this terrible, terrible tragedy that occurred in Medina is that every time that we disobey Allah, every time that we rebel against the system of Allah, there's a consequence. For instance, a wife that doesn't respect her husband, you know what Allah will do? Will give her a son who doesn't respect her. It's the payback. A husband who doesn't respect, love, and have mercy with his wife, you know what Allah's going to do? Give him a daughter that treats him like dirt. So you can learn your lesson. You have to be on our guard against that. You know, one of the things that happened in Medina, when these people surrounded the home of Hazrat Zahra alayhi salam, they began yelling out their threats. They began saying, send out Ali. And if you don't send him out, we'll set the house on fire. Allahu Akbar. Zahra's behind the door. And Zahra says, will you set the house on fire with me and my children in the home? Someone in this crowd actually cries out, answers Zahra, and says, it's better than anything your father ever did. Na'udhu billah. And then the command is brought to bring the wood kindling. And it's stacked up at the door. And it's set alight. And this conversation from behind the door and from in the alleyway is still going on. Zahra says, oh Hizb Shaitan, are you trying to scare me and threaten me? She calls these people the Hizb Shaitan. You know, these were the last words of Zahra. This is the strength of Zahra. This is the bravery of Zahra. This is the heroism of Zahra. That the last words that we hear from Zahra before she cries out in pain is Hizb Shaitan, you cannot scare me. It's as if this statement of Zahra incites the crowd, makes them more angry. So now this is the time that they crash against the door and squeeze Zahra between the door and the wall. And Zahra cries out. The people that were the neighbors of Hazrat Zahra, they didn't answer the cry of Zahra. You know what they used to do after the death of Hazrat Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Then when Zahra used to mourn and cry, they used to come and tell Ali, Ali, tell Fatima, either she should cry by day or she should cry by night. But we can't bear with her crying all the time. Please make her quiet down. This is how Ali has to go to the edge of Medina and build a little kharabe, a little shack, that Zahra can go there and mourn for her father and the neighbors won't complain. When they hear the cry of Zahra, no one says, who's that? What's that? No one comes out to check to see What's happening? What's going on? They say, it's just Zahra crying again. It's just Zahra complaining again. And because of their bi'atinai and their ignoring of the cries of Zahra, then look what happened to Medina just a few years later. That Yazid let his troops loose in Medina. And for 3 days, it was like Daesh. Katle'am, Bokosh, kill, rape, tajawuz. Thousands of children are born because of this incident. And where does it come from? Because when you heard the cry of Zahra, you didn't answer that cry. You didn't respond to that crying out of Zahra. So the recompense is that Allah allows Yazid to have his troops run rampant in Medina and to crush Medina and to crush the spirit of Medina and to destroy the ladies of Medina who had a duty to stand up in defense of Hazrat Zahra. Don't think that you'll escape that easily from the dissatisfaction of the cosmos that you've abandoned Zahra. And this was the result of their abandoning of Hazrat Zahra. You know, it's traditional, at least from what I've seen, that on these nights they also remember Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas. And you know why? Because Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas, he has a role, like Fatima to Zahra had a role in relation to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Hazrat Abbas has that same role in relation to the camp of Imam Hussein. That for as long as Zahra was around, the house of Ali was tranquil. The house of Ali was at peace. For as long as Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas was around in the camp of Imam Hussein, then there was tranquility and peace. To what extent? That even after the shahadat of Hazrat Ali Akbar, Zainab was able to peacefully, safely go to the side of Hazrat Ali Akbar and mourn him because Abbas is present. The camp of Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam felt perfectly safe because Abbas was there. This is perhaps one of the reasons that when Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas fell from his horse and Imam Hussein comes to his side, Hazrat Abbas says, "Don't take me back to the camp." If those children had seen the body of Abbas return to the camp, their hopes would have been destroyed. The tranquility in the camp would have been wrecked. The children needed to believe that Abbas was still there. The children needed to look out at the desert and think that any moment Abbas will return. You know, amongst the ghanima that was taken back, na'uzu billah ghanima, amongst the war booty that was taken back to Yazid from the battle of Karbala was the alam of Hazrat Abul Fadl al-Abbas. When Yazid sees this alam, he asks the soldiers, "This alam, ajab, how strange. Who was carrying this alam?" They said, "Abul Fadl al-Abbas was carrying this alam." "Why do you ask?" He says, "Because this alam is covered all over with the marks of the swords, except for the place where Abbas was holding it. Except for the place where Abbas was holding that alam, it was covered in the gashes and scars of swords. But in the place where Abbas was holding that alam, it was free from defect. It was perfect, unscratched, uncut, unaltered. Why? Because Abbas lost his arms, but he never dropped the alam. He never lost the alam from his hands. So all of the alam would be covered with wounds, but not where his hands remained. وَلَا حَوْلَ وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ الْعَلِيُّ الْعَظِيمِ وَلَعْنَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَى قَوْمِ الظَّالِمِينَ آمين رب العالمين. يا زهرة.
Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Zahra, 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 Ya Oh, the purest, pious Lady of Light. Oh, the purest, pious Lady of Light. An example of dignity and might. An example of dignity and might. How can we not shed a tear for you when we see the pain that you went through? Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, from a young age you have faced tyranny. From a young age you have faced tyranny. Felt great pain as you lost your baby. Felt great pain as you lost your baby. Suffered sorrow as your father left you. Yet you stayed strong. We wish to be like you. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Sayyidatun Nisa'il Alameen, Sayyidatun Nisa'il Alameen. As your mother, the Arabs' uncrowned queen. Your mother, the Arabs' uncrowned queen. You're the center of the pure Ahlul Bayt, chief of all those mentioned ladies so great. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, by Mawla's side after Rasulullah. By Mawla's side after Rasulullah. You stood up to the thugs of Medina. You stood up to the thugs of Medina. When the door came crashing down on you, Mohsen taken cruelly away from you. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. Never been seen outside without your garb. Never been seen outside without your garb. Even in death, you showed the true hijab. Even in death, you showed the true hijab. But your daughters unveiled for all to see, also uncovered your son's headless body. Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. By Mawla's side after Rasulullah, by Mawla's side after Rasulullah, you stood up to the thugs of Medina. You stood up to the thugs of Medina. When the door came crushing down on you, Mohsen taken cruelly away from you. Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra, Ya Zahra. Assalamu alayka ya Fatima az-Zahra, ya Qurrat Ayn al-Rasul, ya Sayyidatana wa Mawlatana. إنا توجهنا واستشفعنا وتوسلنا بك إلى الله وقدمناك بين يدي حاجاتنا يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله يا وجيهة عند الله اشفعي لنا عند الله. All together, please recite the Ayah Amman Yujib 5 times. Everybody here, each person comes here with specific hajat, with specific wishes. Inshallah, Lady Fatima az-Zahra will assist us with all of our hajat, our wishes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء 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 أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. Oh Allah, please bring to us the advent of our Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, and let us be one of his assistants and one of his helpers. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah, assalamu alayka ya Hujjat Allah, assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen ya Ali ibn Abi Talib, assalamu alayka ya Fatima az-Zahra sayyidata nisa'il alameen. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله وعلى الأرواح التي حلت بفنائك.
عليك مني جميعا سلام الله أبدا ما بغيت وبغي الليل والنهار، ولا جعله الله آخر العهد مني لزيارتكم. السلام على الحسين وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين يا زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي باقر العلم النبيين. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق البار. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي الجواد. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد الهادي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي العسكري. السلام عليك يا حجة الله. السلام عليك يا بقية الله. عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك. يا بقية الله أدركنا، ويا حجة الله أغثنا. all together. يا صاحب الزمان، يا صاحب الزمان، يا صاحب الزمان، يا صاحب الزمان. صلى الله على محمد وآله الطاهرين. رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.